Okay.
Welcome to Zoom. Enter your meeting ID.
Organizational meeting of the Ansonia. We're going to start the organizational meeting of the Board of Aldermen. If everybody would please just rise for the pledge to our country, our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
To America,
to the
to the
republic
republic for which it stands,
one nation,
nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty,
liberty,
and justice for all.
justice for all.
Trish, could I have a roll call, please?
Yes, aldermen and women, King, Stowe, Adamowski,
Here.
Tar,
Here,
Cassetti,
Here.
Janetti, Knott, Yalman,
Here.
Rivers,
Here.
Mamone,
Here.
Stewart,
Here.
Blackwell, DeLibero.
Here.
You've got 8 present.
Okay, we have a quorum for tonight's organizational meeting. At this time, I will open up the position of President of the Board of Aldermen. I would like to know if there are any nominations for President of the Board of Aldermen.
Yes, I make a nomination for Mr. Josh Stewart.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
second,
We have a second. Are there any other nominations for chairman? Any other nominations for chairman? Third and final time, any other nominations for chairman? Having none, I'll close the nominations. All those for Josh Stewart to serve a term of 1 year from December 1st, 2022 to December 1st of 2023. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
aye,
Are there any opposition?
One abstention.
And one abstention. Okay. Okay, congratulations, Josh, on that.
Thank you.
Second order of business is to establish the day of the month and the hour and day for holding your monthly meetings and how you would like to proceed with them, whether they're hybrid or whether they are in person. It is your decision.
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Mayor, to establish the day, month, hour, and place to be the second Tuesday of every month at 7 p.m. The meetings to be held in person at City Hall or virtually at the discretion of the chair.
Second.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
aye,
Opposed, abstained, none. To establish, the third is to establish the place where the monthly meetings will be held, but I think we just decided that that'll be decided by the chair, whether it be hybrid or whether it would be in person.
Correct.
Okay, that's fine. To adopt the rules and procedures under which this board will conduct its business. What is your pleasure?
make a motion for Robert's rules,
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposition? None, having none. Passed. The other one is, I don't think it's anything. It's to handle any appropriate business that comes before the Board of Aldermen, but that's your meeting. That will be coming on in, at 7 o'clock. So I will ask for an adjournment of the organizational meeting at this time.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Hey, thank you very much and congratulations, Josh.
Thank you. Thank you,
All
everyone.
right, I guess we'll wait another 10 minutes and we'll go into our regular meeting, Josh.
Yep, the regular meeting will be at the same link, so don't go anywhere. And
Nope.
and Trish, 6281 is Dan King arrived as.
Yeah. Tell him he could call in.
All right, I'd like to call the regular Board of Aldermen meeting for December 13th to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag
of the United
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
liberty
and justice
and
for all.
justice for all.
Trish, can we get a roll call?
Yes, aldermen and women. King. Stowe. Adamowski. Tar.
Here.
Cassetti.
Adamowski is here, but he's muted.
I
And
got,
King is here also.
King is here also.
I got him too.
Yeah.
Sorry, here.
Who did I leave off? Janetti?
Here.
Not. Yauman,
Here.
Rivers,
Here.
Mamone,
Here.
Stewart,
Here.
Blackwell, DeLibero. Got
Yeah.
10 present this time.
This is Dan King. I am here. I'm
I'm
having trouble. It keeps dropping me in and out.
All right,
Frank is
Tim-
also here. He just didn't respond.
I got him too.
No, he did. He did.
Yeah, he did.
Would you say
Yeah, I
10?
have- I have 10 present, 3 absent, 1 vacancy.
Perfect. I declare a quorum. Before we move on, I want to add one item to the agenda for executive session at the end of the meeting. The issue of 2 Elm Street.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Cassetti, second by Mamone. All in favor to add that to the end of the agenda?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? All right, so we'll take that up under executive session. For the minutes, we have one set of minutes from November 15th for your consideration.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Motion to accept by Cassetti, second by Mamone. Any comments or corrections? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, motion carries unanimously. Let's see, what's next? Public session. So we'll open up the public session. Just a quick reminder, up to 3 minutes to speak on any topic. Please identify yourself, name and address for the public record. And we'll try to answer questions if we can on the spot, but it's not a Q&A. So is there anyone from the public who is interested in speaking to the Board of Aldermen? Going once. Anyone else from the public who wishes to speak? Third and final call. Anyone from the public? Seeing none, we will close the public session. Move on to the public official session. Mayor Cassetti, we'll start with you.
Good evening, President Stewart, members of the Board of Aldermen, and residents of the great city of Ansonia. I want to say how very proud I am of the 2022 Class S Champion Chargers football team. I want to take a moment to recognize Coach Brockett, all the coaches, staff, and players for a phenomenal season. I am proud of everyone. I also want to thank our wonderful superintendent, Dr. Joe DeBacco, who is a champion in his own right for our students and players. Thank you, Joe, for a wonderful work you do and for your strong support of our students and players all year. Let's have a round of applause for the accomplishments of the team's Ansonia's 21st football title. Please come and celebrate this championship with the Charger Parade this Saturday at 10:30 a.m. Be seeing you there at Let's Go Chargers. Recently, we celebrated some big wins for projects as well that we have been working on for several years. As you know, my staff and I will, as this board and many other boards have worked collaboratively to support development in our residents' quality of life. We have a great team working together that has been able to come up with a plan for acquisition, assessment, remediation, and demolition of 2 parcels that represent our future, and together from the largest contiguous brownfield properties in the valley. SHW and ACB, Ansonia Copper and Brass, are the future of Ansonia. And without your efforts to acquire these parcels, we would be looking at those fallow properties for many years to come. Through our efforts, we are going to demolish all but one building on SHW, provide for an access road and site pads, replace or renovate the bridge and truck access for Ansonia Copper and Brass, and rehab and renovate 2 buildings on these properties for future manufacturing tenants. We have been able to secure millions of dollars towards these efforts, and again, I want to thank my staff and this board for their hard work. Once revitalized, these properties will generate tax dollars and jobs that are so vital to our economic health. We also received funding for 501 East Main Street, where we already have a public-private partnership to redevelop our downtown properties with Shaw. The funding we recently applied for and received will help remediate and demolish. This will set the stage for 200 units of residential apartments and over 20,000 square feet of retail space. All exciting news and more forward progress in recharging our downtown. I wish you all a blessed holiday season with your family and friends, and I hope to see you on Main Street this Saturday at 10:30. Thank you, God bless you all, and God bless Ansonia.
Thank you, Mayor. Next up is Corporation Counsel, John Marini.
Mr. President, members of the board, apologize for not having my camera on. I am at a varsity basketball game at Assumption School, and it's a little difficult to see me. But wanted to, number one, congratulate, of course, the Ansonia Chargers. And, Mayor is being a little humble. I think he's may have a relative on the team. So the congratulations to Dave Cassetti Jr., who is certainly on a roll and was just named high school football player of the state. And that's on the city website, the article on that. There is a rumor, Mayor, of course, that he may be interested in primarying you later on next year. I hope the rumors aren't true, and good luck, Mayor, because you need it. But congratulations to all the Chargers and, of course, our wonderful coaching staff and high school staff. Olson Drive, want to give this board an update and the residents an update. The lawsuit relative to Olson Drive attempting to stop the multi-sport complex development has been dismissed by Judge Hiller in the Superior Court. And that is, of course, because there was no merit to the claim. City of Ansonia followed all state and local rules, and that claim is now gone. I want to give a big thanks to all of the city staff who took the time to attend multiple hearings and eventually testify in this case. That includes, of course, Dr. Shewart and other members of planning and zoning and city staff. I also want to thank my wife, who, when it came time for me to testify at the hearing, did in fact cover the proceedings. I'm very, very pleased that we have come to this outcome and can now move forward with this critical development project. Also want to give an update on the surveillance program, the street surveillance program that we have talked about months ago. And that is, of course, our plan for cameras in problem areas throughout the city, not just video cameras to catch criminals, but also shot monitoring technology to be able to help our police officers in cracking down on the worst types of crime. Significant step forward. Our consultant has prepared a report on an initial phase of this program, bringing cameras into several areas in the lower wards, especially around Liberty Park and 4th Street. This is going to be an update later on in the meeting. Rich is here. He's going to be providing us with a quick update about what that proposal looks like. Again, we're far from making any decisions about how to move forward, but this is putting us in the ballpark in terms of what can be done and what the cost might be. Chief Williams will likely speak a little bit to that in his update. Want to also give another big project update. Mayor already alluded to SHW. This has been a long time coming, the demolition, chiefly because of UI and their need to disconnect the power. They've engineered a solution over the last month, and we can tell you that on December, I believe 20th, they're going to be doing that deactivation of the power and starting with the demolition shortly after that. So congratulations to everyone. Bears reiterating, without your decision to move forward with ownership of SHW and getting so involved, this would not be possible. We're going to make progress. Union negotiations are ticking along. Arms negotiation is continuing tomorrow. We have some additional dates for police negotiations in early January. We are targeting February to get these contracts to you and hopefully ratified. A good course for both of them. And as always, thank you to our union representatives and staff working with the city on those. Of big news, the Ansonia Senior Center is of course nearing completion, and the city has been out to hire for a full-time senior center director. We've received applications from the outside. No one in the unit was interested. Those applications have now been shared with our elderly commission, Diane Stroman as the chairwoman of that commission. Interviews are likely going to take place within the next 2 weeks. A tentative date has been set. And so we're looking forward to having a big update on that at our January meeting. Finally, Dr. Stewart has already asked for that item regarding the former police station to put on an executive session, and I trust that's been done. So without further ado, any questions? Be glad to take any questions or comments.
Any questions from the Alderman for Attorney Marini tonight?
I just have a comment. So, John, I just wanted to thank you for your tireless efforts to, really see that lawsuit, to the ground where it belongs. This was an important project for the city. It was something we need. It's part of the vision to move forward, and something like that would have been, catastrophic to lose. So, for you, for Sheila, the mayor, anybody else involved that, had a piece in supporting that to dismiss that lawsuit, I think this board thanks you guys tremendously.
Thanks a lot, Alderman Mamone.
Yeah, and I just want to add to that. I hope that we are going back in to recoup how much this cost us to fight something like this that purely had no basis.
It's frivolous, yeah.
Any other questions? Alderman Cassetti?
Yes, just, I believe David mentioned that, His Honor mentioned that the parade would take place on Saturday at 10:30. Where it begins and where does it end? What, could you mention that information, please?
I think the
Yes, it
logistics are
starts-
still underway.
It starts at the Ansonia Police Department parking lot. Everybody will assemble there. The band, the cheerleaders, the fire department, the police department, EMS, and then of course I have a construction trailer that will hold all the players and cars that will be donated by Road Ready for the coaches. And we will proceed down Main Street and stop in front of City Hall on the front steps for the presentation.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anything else for Corporation Council tonight from the Alderman? All right, thank you. Next up is Economic Development, Sheila O'Malley.
Thank you, President Stewart, members of the Board of Aldermen. I just want to take a minute here and also recognize Ansonia youth cheerleaders who made their way to Florida to compete in the national championship. And just making it to Florida is a big deal. So we congratulate the cheerleaders and the coaches and thank them for doing a fantastic job representing Ansonia. So just wanted to mention that. As the mayor said, we've gotten a lot of grant awards recently, and I want to echo what he said. All of the grant writing, the best grant writing in the world can't get you funded unless you have great projects. And that's exactly what we have, and we have great need. And so, we're getting the state and the feds to recognize those needs, and we're putting in really competitive applications that so far we've done pretty well. As of just recently, $6.5 million for the replacement and or renovation of the bridge that's the only safe truck access way into Ansonia Copper and Brass. We have recently got, I believe 540,000, not sure the exact number, but to deconstruct the bridges that cross over the Metro North rail line, to demolish those because of they're unsafe and not needed any longer. And another $990,000 plus to help a private partner, Shaw Growth, in developing that 501 East Main Street. So a lot of projects going on, a couple of resolutions you have in your packet. One to accept, I believe to accept the $500,000+ for the bridge deconstruction. And then other resolution is for an application we're making for the Ansonia Opera House. I'm sorry, excuse me. One resolution is for the Armory. We are looking to convert that into a community center for our residents. And we are applying for funding and need that resolution. And the other is for the Opera House, I believe, as we are applying also for a feasibility study for the Opera House. I think that's about it for now. I'll have more to say as the meeting goes on when the resolutions come up.
All right. Any questions for economic development tonight from the alderman?
Not for her, but I just want to recognize, I see him on, Mr. Mullen does a fantastic job as the chair of that committee. His, ideas to move that project forward have been amazing. If you don't follow him on, Facebook, the photographs that he does of that place are just absolutely stunning. Some of them are downright creepy on top of it, but, he does a great job giving insights to a building, I think, that nobody has access to. And, just gives you just a small sampling of some of the character that place still has after all the years that nothing was done. He's made tremendous strides in such a short time. So, cheers to him.
Thanks. Any questions or other comments for Sheila tonight? All right, thank you. You guys got a late communication today. We didn't actually add that to the agenda. I don't know that we need to, but it was the document that came in support of the old business at the end of the I'm looking here at the end of the agenda. Like 9 agendas here. Hang on. For the under new business, proposed street surveillance cameras, and you guys got a document that was late and it got stamped in. I don't know if we need to, but can we add that piece under I suppose late communication, or communication number 5?
Do we need to do that, Mr. President, or can we just take it up as new business proposal number 1? I think it's listed there.
Yeah, let's just do that. Just put it in under new business. It's a supporting document and I think Rich, who put that together, is here.
Gosh, the mayor's line is freaking out.
How is that?
Mayor, you can only do phone and, one or the other, or it'll echo.
Yeah, I was trying to get on. I got to meet
Okay.
with Dave Connolly later.
Okay.
All right, so I agree with Joe. Let's put it under, let's just add it as an as a piece into the new business. It's just a visual for you. And Rich will discuss that at that point.
You need a motion for that, Mr. President?
Yeah, please.
I'll make that motion.
All right, motion by Yauman,
Second.
second by Rivers to add this under new business. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed,
One opposed? And who's that?
SETI.
SETI, all right. All motion passes. All right, so we'll take that up later. All right, next up is Police Chief Wayne Williams, and I see he's already on camera.
Good evening, President Stewart. I hope everybody's having a great night. Again, not to echo everybody's sentiments, but congratulations to the Charger football team. That was a great win by them, and the way they did it and the manner they did it, they should be very proud of themselves. I would just want to give you a quick update. I apologize for the hoarseness, but I'm fighting a cold. We have just some personnel issues. I just want to let you know, you'll start seeing some new faces. We have 3 people that have graduated from the academy and have begun their field training. So you'll start seeing them on the streets. We also have another 7 officer recruits that are in a variety of academies that'll be coming out over the next 2 to 4 months. We have our annual Thanksgiving Stuffagy coming up on Friday from noon to 5 at Stop and Shop. It's a joint effort with the Ansonia Police Department and Fitzpatrick's Jeep. All of the collected food will be donated to our local food pantries. We ran one in for Thanksgiving, and it went over very well. We were able to drop off both food and gift cards to our food banks. Additionally, I know Friday seems to be packing up because I know the fire department has an event also on Friday along with the parade. But we have our annual Shop with a Cop, which is scheduled on this Saturday at Target, where officers will be meeting with families that were selected by the different schools, providing them with gift cards, and they'll shop with officers for the holiday season. All of that money was from donations that were received by officers, the Board of Education, who really stepped up for us, local businesses, including Auto Repairs Unlimited and Target, also donated to our event. So that's going to be taking place on Sunday, actually just before the parade starts. I also wanted to just comment on Attorney Marini's proposal that you'll be talking about later on tonight. The security camera project's a great idea for the city. We have talked about this multiple times. The first step of this was, or the first location for these cameras was going to be in the north end of our town. I think it's great for both the security and safety of the community. I fully support the project, and I look forward to working with the team to try and get this up and running. Sheila was talking about grants. I just wanted to let you know, we didn't expect to hear until the spring, but we heard this month that the Bond Commission has approved the reimbursement grant that we submitted regards to Mr. Mamone's, Alderman Mamone's favorite topic of the police accountability bill for body cameras and in-car cameras. The state has authorized a reimbursement to the city of just over $71,000 for some of the costs associated with that. So that was actually higher than I anticipated us getting back. So that was great, great news. And lastly, I will remind everybody, I've talked to several aldermen. Winter parking is in effect. Winter parking, we are enforcing it. In the last 5 or 6 days, the officers have written out over 140 tickets for winter parking. We are getting to the streets as we can get to them in between calls. But I just want to remind everybody, it's even side parking unless there's an exemption, and you can go right to either our Facebook page or the city's Facebook page or city's website, and it'll have on there what the winter parking rules are in case there's a specific street in your neighborhood. We get complaints pretty much every day of people in violation of the winter parking. We had the storm the other night. We were able to get some cars moved, but we also tagged a bunch of cars. We expect some bad weather coming up again soon. So I just ask that if you're talking to your constituents, that you please ask them to make sure they're obeying the one side winter parking. It will help out our Public Works Department immensely. And I'm here for any questions that you may have, other than winter parking questions.
Well, that's exactly where I'm going to go at, Chief. And I just want to thank you because it's a big difference. You came through here, and now everybody, they're parking how they're supposed to be for the winter parking. So I thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions or comments for Chief Williams? Hey, you're getting off easy tonight.
Yeah, real easy.
I'm glad.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Next up, we have Superintendent Dr. Joseph Tabaka, who has a special glow. Appears that he very proud of his students that he appears.
Well,
Take it away.
Absolutely. Good evening, President Short and Aldermen and Alderwomen. First, I want to let you know we did have our first delayed opening due to weather. I can't say thank you enough to Public Works and our custodial staff. They always do a great job of getting our roads cleaned up and our walkways for our students. I wanted to share with the alders that with a team from Ansonia, we were able to meet with the ambassador to Romania, and he came here as his 50-state tour. He is very interested with his delegation to do some cultural exchanges and educational exchanges. And you better believe that we did our best to make sure that if the opportunities arise for our students, they'll get that opportunity to travel. Also, I wanted to thank the city for loaning us some help, both Kim and Richie. Everyone does know my finance director is still out due to health reasons. And with the help of Kim and Richie, there's a lot more communication with the city and the Board of Ed more than ever. But I appreciate their help and I appreciate the city. But I just want to remind, as the holiday season is upon us, we have some gifts, and I just want some things that I want to remind the city about, things that have happened, students and teachers over the course of a year. We've had the only Ron Brown scholar. It's the high performing African-American student. There's only one awarded in the state, and it's a $40,000 scholarship. That student was from Ansonia High School. We had a Milken Award winner. We had a Presidential Excellence Award in teaching science and mathematics, one of our own teachers, now administrators. We won the FAFSA challenge in the state of Connecticut. We are the Class S state champions here in Ansonia. And now I was able to go to the high school and announce that Max Preps named David Cassetti Jr. the Connecticut High School Football Player of the Year. That is not every day, and I've said this to the alders, not every day in your superintendent's career that you're able to say that you have a Milken Award winner, that you have a Ron Brown Scholarship winner, that you have the Connecticut State Athlete of the Year, or you have state champions. But from Ansonia, we've been able to do all those things. I think those are all gifts. I feel extremely blessed. I can't believe the incredible support that I've seen throughout this whole season from people right here in this meeting, in the stands with me, around us, around our students. It was one of the greatest journeys I could ever let anyone know. And it was on the backs of the hard work of our students and our coaching staff. When I get phone calls to know that we've won 21 state championships and our coach has won 7, that brings a tremendous amount of pride. And I will be at that right with the mayor. I mean, on Saturday, we couldn't be more excited. We couldn't have more things going for us. A little city with a lot of heart, a lot of pride. And it's an absolute honor and pleasure to be the superintendent here in Ansonia. Time and time again, I've said it to you all. And it's just an absolute pleasure. And the ride so far has been tremendous. If you have any questions, I'm more than willing to answer any questions, but hopefully I see everyone at the parade as well.
Well, take it from me, congratulations on all that, very well deserved, and a lot of hard work and a lot of great people. So thank you.
Absolutely. I'll second that. And you're doing a great job down there. I mean, as always, I mean, I see you at the games all the time. So
we appreciate the support. I mean, as we work together, Board of Ed and the city, all these things are possible. All these awesome and incredible things are possible. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I know I speak for all of us, for everyone on the Board of Ed. These things aren't possible alone. So it's the biggest thank you as a community.
Any other questions, the superintendent tonight? All right, you also get off easy.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. So ends our public official session. We'll move on to committee reports. Finance Committee.
Stop. Too much fucking going on.
Can't get off mute. I'm sorry. Motion to pay all bills if deemed correct. Josh?
Thank you.
Second.
Motion to pay all bills if deemed correct by Mamone, second by Rivers. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries unanimously. Any other committee reports, subcommittee reports from the Alderman? Perfect. We'll move on to municipal reports. We have the boat recommendations for December 2022 in your packet.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Motion to accept by Mamone, second by Yaman. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries unanimously. Next up, we have the tax collector report.
Motion to accept the report.
Second.
Motion by Mamone, second by Rivers to accept the tax collector report. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion carries unanimously. We also have the request for refunds in the amount of $3,662.29.
Motion to accept if deemed correct.
Second.
Motion by Mamone, second by Tar. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. All right, accidents and claims. Let me just get caught up here. We had one claim, number 1-22-1042.
Motion to refer to council.
Second.
Motion to refer to council by Yaman, second by Rivers. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion
Yes.
carries. Pass that on to Corporation Council. All right, we have a bunch of communications. We'll start with, I have these printed here somewhere, hang on. Communication number 1 is from Planning and Zoning, Jared Heon. Do have it here somewhere. There we go. This was the RE 1 North Division Street Transfer Station 824 favorable referral. Planning and zoning meeting, commission members made a motion for 824 favorable referral for the lease of the transfer station to an outside entity. The request was for the potential sale or lease. However, the commission only approved the lease option. Jared Heon, Chairman, Planning and Zoning. This was our previous request for an 824 for that property.
Motion to accept.
Motion to accept by Yaman,
Second.
second by Mamone.
Discussion.
Discussion, sure.
Yeah, how long is that lease for?
Joe, we haven't, Alderman Cassetti, we haven't gone out to bid yet. That's all, that would all be negotiated if we were going in that direction. Nothing set in stone, just looking to see what's out there and to see if possibly there's some cost savings for the city.
Thank you.
All right, so we have a
Welcome.
motion and a second. Any other comments? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining?
Here, abstaining.
One
So what,
abstention. Alderman Rivers, what are you abstaining from?
yeah, what are you voting on?
We're just
I'm sorry.
receiving the document. We're not going.
You don't need a vote. I don't think you need a vote, Josh.
Yeah,
I don't either, but
okay,
Yeah.
all right. I just wanted to officially accept the document. Same with the number 2, also from Chairman of Planning and Zoning. This is RE 64 and 78 Pulaski Highway, 824 favorable referral. This was the members made a motion of a favorable 824 favorable referral for the proposal to purchase 78 Pulaski Highway for the public purchase of construction, a new middle school and preservation of wetlands.
Motion.
Jared Heon.
Second.
Motion by Cassetti, second by Rivers. This is just to accept this.
Communication, right?
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Perfect. Communication number 3 is from Ansonia Youth Cheer, Angela Viteri, Cheer VP and Treasurer, and this is an extensive letter, but this was a request for funding, and there was an attached quote. And I believe the total amount was $8,616.86. uniforms and associated expenses to that. How do you guys want to proceed with that?
Motion to accept
Except what, the communication?
communication, and if there's funding involved, I think that we should move forward with the funding.
Oof.
Can I? Well,
Can we
look,
discuss this?
I was gonna say, if you want to get a second or first before we, but
Well, is
I
there anyone
think-
that wants a second? Just spending the money outright,
Wait,
8,600?
can I ask a question? Do we pay for the entire program, or do the kids have a participation fee that goes towards any of this, or I'm just curious?
I do not know. It's not mentioned.
I'm thinking that maybe you want to refer to the finance department and see what their recommendation is.
well,
Just a thought.
Kids need uniforms. We got to make sure they have uniforms.
but just here to clarify, point of order, there was a motion. Before we have discussion, you either get a second or withdraw the motion.
Yeah, right.
Correct. All right. So do we have a second that wants to just buy this? We do not. Okay, we don't have a second. So,
Okay, so the motion dies on the floor then.
all right. So now motion fails. Do we, is there
So
any
then-
other future motions or?
Point of discussion, because I think, and I don't know if who's in agreement with this. I think we need further clarification either from AYC, a member of the AYC board, from Jeff
Yes.
Capola as the
Yes.
recreation director, as well as input from finance as to what the line item looks like.
Yes,
Correct.
So I think we should refer the document to both Jeff and finance and request that this be put on next month's agenda and someone from AYC be present as well as a member of the finance department for discussion.
Motion to table.
Second.
Wait, we have a we already have a motion to do something else and,
Oh,
Thought we didn't, no second on that one.
well, you didn't give it an opportunity. You made a third motion before we.
Yeah.
moving too fast, Joe Cassetti.
wait,
Excuse me, Mr. President.
Yes.
We do have a board of fiscal authority in the city that's already in place. If you request money normally for the last 100 years or so, you would go to Board of Apportionment and Taxation. And,
That is
you know,
not,
they have a process for this.
that is
Look at
that is
But
not
this is
how this
recreation
works.
funds, which we already approved.
Yeah,
And
recreation
they
funds
should
were
just
not
ask
set up.
Jeff
like
and he should disperse those funds. If they're asking for city funds,
They're-
the only one that can give away
Yeah,
city funds. is
Alderman
vote.
King, I think that this particular account was put directly under the Board of Aldermen at the end of
Correct.
the last budget.
Yeah, that
So
would be
that's why
recreation
otherwise-
funds, which
Otherwise, you'd be
which
totally
Jeff
right.
Capola has control of.
No, he does not.
no,
No, he does not.
Why don't they bring it to him?
The Board of Aldermen was made the custodian of this particular account.
Correct.
It is definitely though different than every other situation. It's just this rec count was specifically put under the Board of Aldermen, given basically settling a controversy that came up last year. If the other individuals that made the motions withdraw the motion, you can
No.
narrow this down to the tabling.
But I did make a motion.
Wait, but we
Second.
have a
At least I thought I
motion.
did.
We have a
Can I
motion.
second?
Hang on. We have a motion from Yaman to refer this to finance and recreation to,
Second.
yes.
that was
Do
my
we have
second.
anybody in the meeting tonight from recreation or cheerleading that could?
Doesn't, Shannon, it
Answer
doesn't
anything for us.
matter. It doesn't matter. We ultimately are the authority.
Governing body, sure.
We have and we want to get clarification on the thing. I can tell you that I did hear from Kurt that there's $19,000 in that line. However, I don't know what other teams are due up or what other requests are coming in, but that was, as of today, that was the amount in that line.
That's
So
for everybody.
that's for
Jack.
everybody to go through the whole year. So I do think it's wise, the motion that was made to get clarification from finance and also from Jeff
Correct.
as to the need. So we have a motion and a second. Let's vote on that. And then that doesn't go anywhere. We'll continue the circus of a conversation, I guess.
No,
all in favor? Yaman?
my second was for what Joe Yaman was saying, but I jumped after Joe Cassetti, so I'll
Oh.
withdraw my second to Joe Cassetti's and maybe that'll resolve that.
Too many Joes, Bobby. But
Okay,
yes.
so
If
Yaman,
you're
Okay.
withdrawing your second, then I will second Joe Yaman.
No, I didn't, I withdrew my, yes, okay.
all right, so, all right, and Joe Cassetti, you die on the floor for a second time in the same.
Still gonna come back to us.
This is unprecedented, 2 times in one conversation, but, yeah,
All right,
3 strikes, you're out, Joe.
all right.
Perfect.
We have a motion, we have a second by Mamone, was it?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, and this is gonna go to finance and to Jeff, and we'll be back on the agenda for next month.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Dane,
Who, one abstention, who was that?
Stephen Adamowski.
One abstention, Adamowski. Thank you. Motion carries. All right, that was fun. Let's see. Communication number 4 is from the fire department. Assistant Chief Anthony DeLucia. This was a request, and actually, a few of us are on the fire commission as well, so we're aware of this situation. So in the hot summer months, the fire departments were requesting to have functional industrial ice machines in the firehouses so that they could prepare their own ice when they go out on calls. And 3 of them do not have working ice machines. 2 of them do have machines and they're hooked up. And so there's a letter in there detailing that, plus a quote from the vendor, Castle Beverages. What's
I
your-
want to make a motion to send this to vote first.
Okay.
Can I, Mr. Rivers, can I ask for a possible amendment on that too, to include finance for review under the capital plan to see if there is funding in the capital plan to cover this?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so is that your motion, Rivers?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have
Second.
a second? Second by Mamone. Any further discussion on that?
Just,
Yeah.
Mr. President, a comment if I may,
Sure.
briefly. I just want to point out that as a member of the Fire Commission, I know the trials and the tribulations that our volunteer firemen go through, and I think this is something that's important that needs to be addressed. They are on pace to do a record number of calls this year, and retention and recruitment has been down for a period of time. So I just think it's important to give as much support as we possibly can to our volunteer firemen.
They
Thank
need
you.
this equipment to cool, it's a cooling process for their equipment as well. This is not an extra or an unessential thing. It's absolutely essential.
No, and it's not something that was planned, at the outset of the year. It was like the sweltering summer months. They were like, man, this is brutal. And they were depending on other departments to aid them. And so, we've had discussions on that, and, it's not something that's a budgetary item. So I think this is a good potential solution.
I do too. I just wanted to go
You can
through
ping
the
pong it all
board.
you want. You can bounce it back and forth, but these guys are gonna get what they need.
I'm not saying that they're not going to get what they need. I'm just saying that it's supposed to go through both so that we know where it's coming from.
There's
That's
a
all.
process. Yeah, we're just following that process, Joe.
That's it.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. So that'll get sent off to them. And then we have, or is that it? That might be it.
Resolutions.
Communication 4. No resignations.
Yes.
What do we have a resignation on?
Is that Bobby resigning?
No. Wait. Didn't we have one?
Ian,
Call Heon.
He wasn't resigning though, as much as he was asking
Not
to not
being
continue
appointed.
after his term was up.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
That wasn't
It's
in
the
our packet
same.
anyway. Well, it wasn't
It's
in
the
our,
same
I
thing,
don't
Bobby.
remember seeing that.
I was in the
Okay.
packet, but it was,
It was?
please
Yep.
don't reappoint me. So I don't think that that was necessarily resigning. He was
It's
serving
in
out,
the packet.
serving out the term.
Right.
All right, so, resolutions, there are two. Sheila, you can take both of these. Resolution number one, actually, both of them were mentioned in her intro. Resolution one is the TOD grant. And so
Yes,
grass bridge repairs, 540,000.
to add more red tape, you need a resolution sometimes to apply, and you need a resolution to accept the funds. We were awarded the $540,000 to deconstruct the bridges. And this is just to accept that money and to allow the mayor to enter into an agreement to, with the state for the funding.
Okay.
Motion to accept that resolution.
Motion to accept by Mamone, second by Rivers. All in favor?
Wait, can I just point of discussion before you do that? Do you also need approval for the mayor to execute other than accept, Sheila?
Execute, right, Joe, I'm sorry.
Tony, do
Thank
you want to amend?
Well,
Yes.
Yes,
Joe,
no
it's in the actual resolution, authorized and directed to execute and deliver.
Okay,
So it's.
Thanks,
worded
Joe.
in-
yeah, I just wanted to make sure. Yep. As long as, yep.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries.
Nice work on that, Sheila.
Happy
Right,
accepting,
thank you, Tony.
accepting of 540,000. Second resolution is the, also mentioned in the intro was the Ansonia Armory grant. You want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah, 2 seconds. $8 million we are applying for complete renovations for the Armory to convert it into a community center, fully functioning community center with a kitchen and an elevator and all of the interior renovations that need to be done to piggyback on what Griffin has done as well. So that's for a grant application.
Should also say that there's an interest collaborating with Team, specifically with respect to the old kitchen at the Armory. So this is
Okay.
likely not going to be a project limited to just Ansonia. This is going to function as a true community center with the idea of partnering with some outstanding community groups in the area.
All right, so we have a motion to accept this resolution.
I'd like to make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Adamowski, second by Mamone. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right,
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone.
on both of those. All right, next up, we have appointments. I'll get that here somewhere. A bunch of appointments. And I'll do these by category when there's multiple people. From the mayors, there were two lists for some reason that came out. I didn't even bother looking at the original one to see what the differences were, but we're talking about the amended one. It says amended at the top of the document. December 8th was the date on it.
Yeah.
Board of Aldermen, pursuant to my powers under the city charter and code, I hereby submit the following appointments. So we have for Board of Apportionment and Taxation, a 3-year term, Robert Jaskilka, independent, 238 Greenfield Drive, term expiring 12/31/25.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Cassetti, second by Yauman. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. Next, we have Board of Library Directors. These are 3-year terms. We have Robert Knott, Republican of 9 Alcott Street, Jeffrey Sweeney, unaffiliated of 11 Cottage Ave, and Elida Philippone, Democrat of 56 Mott Street. All terms expiring 12/31/25.
Motion.
Second,
Motion by Cassetti, second by, who was the second on that? Rivers?
yes.
All right, motion to approve, let's go in order here. Not was, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, Sweeney,
Aye.
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 Any against or abstaining? Okay, motion carries. And Philippone,
Aye.
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 opposed, abstentions. All right, so all three are passed through. Board of Police Commissioners, we have 3 nominees for 2-year terms. Peter Danielchuk, Democrat of 14 North Street. Kenneth Moffett, Democrat of 341 North Main Street, and John Tarr, unaffiliated, 30 La Rovera Terrace.
Aye.
We'll take and these are all to expire 12/31/24. So I'd like to do these again individually. Daniel
Make a
Chuck,
motion.
You need the motion to
Aye.
accept, Josh?
Oh, motion to accept what? No, I was gonna vote on these individually.
Okay.
Daniel Chuck,
Motion.
Aye.
Aye.
opposed, abstentions. How about Moffett? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Excuse me, Josh.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
I need a
I think
motion
Trish
and a
needs a
second.
motion. Trish needs a
Motion and
motion.
second.
Yeah,
Oh.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, you're
all
making the
three.
motion on all 3. Okay, that's Yaman,
I'll second that.
second by Mamone. All right, now read the names again. Well, I went through Daniel Chuck. Moffett,
Aye.
Aye.
opposed. Abstaining. All right, and Tar,
Aye.
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 opposed, abstentions.
Abstain.
1 abstention, Tar. Didn't vote against. All right.
I was gonna say, you didn't vote against them, Bob?
Yeah, right? I mean, what the hell?
Christmas is coming, guys.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Had
All
one
right, I
shot.
understand. I got
One
you.
shot. All right, next up, Board of Public Works, we have 2-year terms, 2 nominees, both expiring 12/31/24. Richard Barrow, Democrat, 7 Dempsey Road, and Gary Cassetti, Democrat, 102 Root Ave.
Motion to accept.
Motion to accept
Second.
by Mamone, second by Tar. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions. All right. So both of those are in. Commission for Elderly Service, 3-year terms. We have 3 nominees, all expiring 11. Well, actually, this doesn't make any sense. One of them says expiring.
It's a 2-week appointment. Yeah.
One of them says 11/15/24, and the other 2 expire in 2 weeks.
Oh.
Those can't be right. I think they all should be 12/31/24. James Hubbard, Democrat, 10 Harris Road.
Well, you need a motion first, but can we get John, do you know what the term is to be expiring? Can we just get clarification to make sure that we have the right dates? Or Sheila, if you know what the date, it says 3 years, so I presume it's 25, but not all the dates on elderly services are incorrect. So is it 12/31/25 for each?
24 was mentioned.
Yeah, it was mentioned on here, but none of those are 3-year terms, is your point.
You're
Beth, no,
muted,
by
Sheila.
chance?
Okay, I make a motion to table
No,
it
I
until the next meeting if we can't find out.
Yeah, that information is supposed to be directly from the appointments book with the mayor, so without
Table elderly
being
services.
there to open it up, we can't double check it. You know, we're relying on that information to be valid.
Okay, so so there's a motion to table these appointments by Rivers. Do we have a second on that?
I'll second.
Second by Yaman, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed or abstaining? All right, so we'll table that and we'll have the correct stuff for next month. Conservation Commission, there are 4 nominees for 4-year terms.
Motion to accept.
Motion by Mamone, second by Rivers. All right, these are 4-year terms. These are all the same. 12/31/26 expirations. Jill Libby, Republican of 256 North State Street.
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, that one approved. John Maloney, Republican, PO Box 69, Ansonia, Connecticut. All in favor?
Motion.
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions? All right, Joseph Cassetti, Republican, 72 Root Ave, Apartment 2.
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions?
One.
One abstention, Cassetti. And John Jones, Democrat, 92 Ford Street.
Aye.
Aye.
Favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. Congrats to all of them. Good God, there's another page. Cultural Commission. I need to take a nap, and I'll be back for the rest of these. Cultural Commission, 3-year terms. There are 4 nominees, all to expire 12/31/25.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Yaman, second by Rivers. Nominee
Aye.
one. Nominee one, did we vote? Sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Irene Crom Kirby, Republican, 92 Franklin Street.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? All right. Rich DiCarlo, Republican, 325 Olivia Street in Derby.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, motion carries. And Kaylee Mahalko, unaffiliated, 22 North Co Lane.
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? All right, and last one, Joey Phoebus, Republican, 275 Coram Ave, Shelton, Connecticut.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, so congrats to all 4 of them. Next, Inland Wetlands Commission, 2-year terms. There are 3 people with terms expiring 12/31/24. First one, oh, actually, yeah, can we motion to accept these?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Yaman and second by Mamone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Jimmy Little, Democrat, 36 Star Street.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, unanimous. Michael Mahalchik, unaffiliated, 23 Birchwood Drive.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstaining? All right, unanimous again. William Malerba, unaffiliated, 145 Myrtle Ave.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Unanimous again. All right, next up, Zoning Board of Appeals, 5-year terms. There are 2 nominees.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Motion second, Rivers. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstaining? All right. First one, Robert Brown, unaffiliated, 11 Elliott Road.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, unanimous. And Claudia Degnan, Republican, 13 Glen Drive.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, unanimous. Congrats. And the last one. Oh, no, sorry, there's 4 more pages. One more section here. The Opera House Committee, 2-year terms to expire 12/31/24.
Motion to accept.
Loan. Do we have a second?
Second.
Wait, can I ask a question?
By Yaman, yes.
The first person lives in Massachusetts?
Yes. There's a few out of town members of that committee.
I knew out of town, but I didn't realize out of state. That's a long commute.
That's dedication.
Someone
Okay.
dedicated to the
I mean,
craft.
that's allowed. Okay.
Yeah, this one came up last year when we talked about some of
Yeah.
the Cultural Commission, Opera House.
I'll be back down a little bit.
And this isn't, and to be clarified, I don't believe this isn't a charter bound or an ordinance bound committee. This is one that is
Committee.
self-created by our board, so I believe we can
Yes.
put on anybody we want.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to accept these.
Aye.
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 You just added them saying that.
Can we mute iPhone, please?
Aye.
Yeah, iPhone, well, there's two of them, but the one that was talking. All right, first one is Tommy Drivers, Independent, 13 South Street, 3 Rivers, Mass.
Aye.
Aye.
Favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, unanimous. And the last one is Sarah Cuff, Independent, 44 Main Street, number 44B.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any
No.
abstentions?
Nope.
All right. Motion carries unanimously. That was long.
Josh,
Yes.
it wasn't long enough. Can I ask a question? Maybe, I don't know if I was micro sleeping here, but the Board of Assessment Appeals towards the top, did we skip that section?
No, Robert Jaskilka.
We did that.
Yeah.
We did that.
Was the
Right
first
under that, is there not Board of Assessment? Am I looking at an older list?
Yes.
That was the old list. We
Yeah.
used the amended one.
That
Oh,
wasn't the
all right.
amended one.
Sorry about that.
All right, so though I'm sure there'll be more appointments next month, but that's the bulk of the new ones for the year. So that's probably the longest we'll ever have to spend on that. All right, so that's the end of appointments. We have nothing under ordinance. Under new business, we have the it says proposed, I think proposal for street surveillance cameras. This was mentioned by Chief Williams.
Mr. President,
Right.
can I just make a point of order really quick?
Yes.
There was a land use report that was emailed separately from the packet. I'd just like to make a motion to accept that, so we have it in our record.
Second.
Noticed it.
I did see that.
Call there, Joe. You got the late
Yeah, I
land
did see
use
that.
report. Motion to accept the land use report by Yaman. Who was the second on that?
Me, Mamone.
Malone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, and Trish, you can just comma that banana hook that back into the regular part. Yeah, what's that? Is there a comment?
I don't know what you're gonna be talking about with respect to the security cameras, but I did send you a note after talking to the police chief.
Oh, I just think, I thought it was just, we got that document, and I don't know if there's any discussion or.
Yeah, this is for
There's-
information. This is for
But-
information purposes only.
But there's locations on there and
Yeah.
Yeah,
Several.
is that a public safety issue if we're,
Yeah, that's
Yes.
supposed to be in.
Yes.
is that something
Executive
considered for
session.
executive session?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think that we have to mention any locations, but
Right.
suffice to say that we're going to be targeting the hopes is to be targeting, problem areas that the police believe to be of strategic significance. But let me first say that, this has been a while coming, the ability to study a street surveillance program where essentially we're using cameras, sophisticated cameras to monitor areas where crime occurs to assist the police. We brought aboard a consultant, Rich Subcheck, who's an IT expert and has familiarity with municipal systems, including the surveillance system in the city of Bridgeport, which runs a pretty sophisticated operation in terms of street cameras and shop monitoring systems. So he was tasked to dialogue with various city departments and put together a first proposal to see what an initial phase would look like. And he's here tonight to describe very briefly what he did, what it looks like. And again, there's no need to get into the specifics of streets or where we're thinking about placing these cameras. But in terms of answering your questions as to what this is and what the result is intended to be, this is a good first step. Again, we're not asking for any authorization for anything, far too early in the process, but we're beginning to get an idea of what infrastructure needs to be in place to do this and what a potential cost of the infrastructure could be for our planning purposes. And again, the idea here is to assist our police. We know it's hard out there today for them. This is an extra tool to be able to keep our residents safe. So Rich, you can briefly outline what this program is intended to do and what the result we're looking for is.
Great. Thank you, Attorney Marini. Thank you, President Short and the board for taking a couple minutes to, towards the end of the session here to go over this stuff. Really quick, for those of you who don't know me, who have never met me, my name is Rich Sobzak. I worked for the city of Bridgeport for a long time, right after Sandy Hook happened. The whole, state and country got into this whole new monitoring system with cameras. I also did a lot of time in the city of Milford with a similar system. So I was honored and happy to be able to do that here for Ansonia as an Ansonia resident. So just really quick, there's no existing infrastructure in place for this system at all. So I had to work with a lot of vendors who I have a very good rapport with, who also did the city of Bridgeport, and work with a lot of other municipalities in the state to come up with this new system to be able to do this, as far as not just really the hardware, but even UI, getting the exact pole locations where they need to be, also getting the correct fiber run for enough bandwidth for these cameras to be able to do everything that the PD needs. So more or less, this is kind of like a two-phase system. The first one being about 3/4 of the initial implementation of everything, and that also includes the north end, which like the chief mentioned is the area that PD wants to really focus on. So the good thing about this blanket area with the camera coverage down there is they can gather all this data for this whatever this incident that may occur, and they can understand all the facts, witnesses, where the suspect could have fled, what they were wearing. They're going to have license plate readers so they can follow the entire car throughout the city. So this will kind of help with the surveillance solutions for those types of things. So it's all real-time monitoring, alarming. So it's going to utilize BOLOs for stolen vehicles, missing persons, Amber Alerts, even post-event investigations. It's going to have the shot spotter system in that area. So what that does is, for those who don't know how that works, basically there's like microphones more or less inside these cameras and placed throughout different areas, and they will pick up, shooting, the sound of gunshots, and then they report on maps and alerts and all different kind of ways, which I'm trying to kind of dial back since this is, public and can get this info. So I'm trying to kind of dial back a little bit with all the technicalities, but I think you guys kind of get where we're going with everything. So if anybody has any questions on anything or.
Yeah, I know companies that have worked down in Bridgeport and Fairfield that were doing this here kind of stuff. Who are the people you are actually
Well, the main company is Omnidata.
Okay. All right. Because other companies that has cameras there in Bridgeport, Fairfield, Shelton, they can actually follow a car from town to town.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. Absolutely.
So,
Yeah, and that's where the license plate reader and that the real-time monitoring part comes in.
so you only got one proposal from them?
Well, this is basically that proposal is everything from all the other vendors, which is the fiber vendor, that was also including the cost of the UI poles and all the equipment with the installation, the service, the warranty, and the any kind of other things that we'll need later on for all the other projects. So.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, okay, for your the cameras, who are you going with? It's them. It's the same company.
Correct, Omnidata. Yep.
Okay, have you heard of SoundSafe? Because they do a whole lot down there. They do state buildings all too.
What was the name of the vendor again?
SoundSafe or Sonatrol.
Sonatrol do door access. They do like access control, so they do the entire city.
Right, they do door access and they also do cameras also. They
Yeah,
have,
that integrates with Milestone, so they all work. The systems integrate together.
okay,
Yep. Yeah, they do cameras. Not like on the level of like how Omnidata does it. Omnidata really specializes much more in like I said, more the street side of it. You know, they do
yeah,
all the rest areas on 95 that for the state police. All those are
okay, because I know that they do on the street, and they also do the portable cameras that Bridgeport have that they could take to like a park or something, and it goes up in the air, and they have all these here cameras. They also do this.
I know since 2018, Sonatrol did pretty much most of the interior cameras for all the Board of Ed and the city, and Omnidata did all the street cameras.
So this is a preliminary proposal. So the next step isn't going to be to proceed. It's likely going to be to get a subcommittee of the Board of Aldermen to actually understand, what our next steps are. And is that to go with a contractor that's on the state bid list, as in the proposal? Is it to go to a bid scenario where specs are going to be drawn up on the basis of the proposal? We're going to get a bit more direction, but this is to get a handle on what an affordable first phase would look like. But we're a ways off in terms of identifying funding source and really honing this and deciding exactly who to go with. So I'd say, honestly, if you're interested, the aldermen are interested in being on a subcommittee to
Yes, I am.
specifically start to push this, I think indicate that to Dr. Short so he can create a subcommittee that can work with Rich to push this to the next level, to get this ready for budget season next year.
Well, I am interested.
I am too.
I also would be, but my recognizing the fact that I've seen the proposal, seeing it's a first glance as kind of cost and implementation and affordability. My questions are more broadly, I guess, policy based and sort of concerns that I have generally over the policy of a camera system like this, retention of the video of the camera system like this, especially utilizing LPR, infrared, and anything else that may be utilized like that and for their very specific purposes. So I would also like my name added to that list, Josh, if that's what the subcommittee is intended to do, or if the broader conversation is going to happen wherever that is going to happen.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's going to be more confined to our discussion as a Board of Aldermen in consultation with the chief about policy, how they're used. And that's obviously a very important aspect. The most important aspect is just because you have the technology, doesn't mean you want to use it for just any purpose. You want to safeguard our residents in every way. And then that includes privacy issues as well. So I would say the committee we're forming is to focus on the technology, in terms of the use. I think that's an important task of the legislative body to be dialoguing with the chief and the police commission as we go forward.
Well, I think that he should be on it so that this way he can understand the whole part of that side.
Absolutely.
Of the technology.
Oh yeah, there's no hard. I think that only enhances the group.
Right. Okay.
All right. Any other Alderman Cassetti?
Yeah, is this for purchase, rental, lease? What is it of the equipment?
Everything is for purchase except the fiber. I think if I remember correctly, I think we were going to lease the fiber. It was at the time it's less costly route to take. So, but as far as that, it's everything's for purchase.
Will this require monitoring, or is there a trigger to engage?
It depends. I mean, this is not something that just gets set up, kind of overnight, so to speak. So it's, it's going to have some configuration, the way that it's going to work for the chief and and, whichever departments are going to utilize particular, sections of it to configure everything. So as far as monitoring, it can be monitored, but it will be, or can be set to be, kind of work automatically, so to speak, with certain things. So.
Are you looking, do the cities contribute towards it, or do the police department's budget for it? How's it handled as far as who's paying for it?
Well, that's something more for finance. I mean, from my
Yeah, it's
experience,
in terms of funding source, that's something, we're going to be, staff is looking at right now to determine the most effective way of funding it. And of course, I wouldn't even consider the price to be a done deal, we want to figure out what a first phase would look like, what that price needs to be, and then identify a funding mechanism. And as you know, it could be a mix of different funding mechanisms, grant funds, budget sources. So, that's yet to be determined, but Rich is more on the tech end of what the technology is and what's advisable and how it could be used.
So this would be in addition to the police accountability bill. It would have additional responsibilities then.
Obviously there's a lot that's subject to the police accountability bill. I will say this, systems like this are needed to aid police departments because of the destructive impact of the police accountability bill. The way it handicaps our police officers, the way it makes policing far more difficult. It's basically forcing towns to do everything possible to assist police. This is a technological edge that helps assist police. Obviously, we'd like to be in a position where our state legislature was not passing bills that hobble police officers, but that's where we are.
Well, I'm more worried about them not hiring additional personnel because they've got cameras and artificial forms of policing.
Hey.
Josh, just a question on the procedure going forward. I'm wondering if the police commission would be the appropriate body to work, with Rich and John on this in terms of a proposal that could be then recommended to the Board of Aldermen.
That's a good idea.
Hey, can I say something?
They are working on them.
Hello?
Yep.
They
You hear
are
me?
working with them.
Well, that's
You hear me?
Joe.
Hello? Yeah, I'm sorry I keep on losing everybody, but this is a police accountability bill. Maybe the state should help fund these cameras and everything, no?
That's a good,
There's no
that's a
high money
good,
on-
good suggestion, Alderman.
Maybe
Janetti.
maybe somebody, one of our representatives or somebody could get us money to pay for some of this. They're the ones who did this, a police accountability bill. This is what they want. So maybe they,
we know the person to go to get them grants, and she is in the room. And that's
there's nobody.
What's her name?
Jill O'Malley. Say her name.
Nobody,
thanks,
nobody better than Sheila.
There's
that's for
probably
sure.
federal grant money that can be accessed for something like this.
Yes.
Yep, possibly.
But if anybody can get it, it's Sheila, that's for sure.
That's right. That's right. There you go. Put her on it.
Thanks for your vote of confidence. The pressure is on.
Well, you always answer the bell, so.
All right.
But maybe the state should help fund this. I mean, like I say, they're the ones who pass this police accountability bill, and it protects our police officers. So, that's just my opinion.
All right, so I'll speak with staff and we'll figure out the best configuration as to moving this on. Thanks to Rich for his work on this, continuing work on this, and I guess we'll be in touch as far as the next steps. This is a good first step, though. Hopefully, sufficiently introduced to us, and
get that get that committee together.
Yeah, I took down names of people who volunteered.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
it's put anybody except for Rivers on there, but we'll
good to get volunteers, but I think that money well spent would be towards police officers and our own police department.
All right.
Well said, Joe. Well said.
All right, so can we move on from this? We don't need to take any action. We're just kind of wanted to get Rich an opportunity to talk about it, and the city to pipe in on it a little bit, but are we good to move on for
Yep.
tonight?
We're good. Go ahead. Let's go. Let's
All
roll.
right, next item, old business, Ansonia, Connecticut, Eagle View. Who's taking that? John?
I can kick that off. We've talked about this at our last meeting. This is the flyovers. It's a tool utilized by our assessment company to provide a more accurate snapshot of what's going on in terms of property improvements. Essentially, it's as simple as this. We're faced with the task of lowering the mill rate in the face of our recent assessment increases. And I'm sure all of you have seen documentation of that. Property values in the city are going up. And while that's a positive thing, it also requires an adjustment on the city side to mitigate any tax increase. Part of this is making sure that all revenue is realized. That, like I said at our last meeting, that we're being fair. That individuals that have made improvements to their property are having those improvements, the values captured for the purposes of taxes. And we shouldn't leave it just to the people that are honest to report and to suffer the consequences. It should be fair. And this technology allows us to do that. However, one big caveat, we discussed the potential of this information to be shared for enforcement purposes. And the mayor and certainly staff and myself agree that that's really inappropriate. That's not the purpose of what we're setting out to do. And so what I'm looking for is a vote to go ahead and approve the agreement that incorporates Eagle View. At the same time, to do that with an important caveat and stipulation that no information that is collected pursuant to this Eagle View system will be in any way shared for enforcement purposes with our building department. And that if any information is somehow obtained by our building department, that information obtained solely through Eagle View is not utilized for enforcement purposes. So no fines, no penalties are going to be implemented as a result of information from Eagle View. Think about it, as Alderman Yalman would know, fruit of the poisonous tree, we are not going to be using any information that is coming from that tree from Eagle View to implement fines, penalties against our residents solely for tax purposes, solely for assessment purposes to make things fair. But given the challenge that we have in the budget next year, we need this tool.
I agree, John. I mean, those were some of the concerns that were, that were raised during the discussion at the last meeting. And, I think with that caveat, as long as there's restrictive language that this is not going to be used for, enforcement purposes, through zoning, through, for purposes of backdating permits and trying to, things like that. If it's solely used for assessment purposes, I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah, I think that's what me and Joe had a concern over before, but if that language is in there, then I'm okay with it.
How would we ever know, though, if that information is utilized in calculating, some of the increases? We would really never know that information.
No, we
any
would know.
fine, any penalty assessed is going to have to provide the evidence, and that evidence would clearly have to come from a snapshot created by a flyover. It's not something you'd be able to distinguish that from a report of someone going onto a property, which would be the normal case. Someone would be sent out, but if our building department is processing that evidence, it would have to be part of the violation letter.
We would also know because I'm sure that a constituent would actually have a problem with it and would speak out very loud. So we'll know.
And we're not going to be coy about it. Listen, I'll make it a disciplinary matter that our officials in both offices are not to share that data. or try to obtain that data. So beyond making it clear in the stipulation, I'll make it known that if it's discovered, that there are going to be consequences for that sharing information. That's just going to be against the rules, period. And that's going to be subject to discipline if that happens.
Okay.
John, I just have one more thing I'd like to ask if I can. Can we just do a quick review, if possible, with regards to both ordinance? On for ordinance on both the blight ordinance, as well as anything related to zoning enforcement, to ensure that we don't need more restrictive language in our ordinances.
I think this is a really good idea, actually. It's something that we've been needing to do, just a general review. There's some laws that have changed some items. For example, maximum amount of blight penalties. We do have a new enforcement officer since the last time we talked about this. So Alderman Yaman, actually, I think this is a very, very good step. I think we probably should schedule a meeting maybe early or mid-January and have basically a public meeting, but basically a little forum on what's been going on and a review of the language. I agree.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, I'll second it if that's,
Hang on, one second. So who made a motion?
Nobody.
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 Yaman made the
I have
motion.
one, I have one.
Yaman made the motion.
Alderman Cassetti, you've been very patient. You've been slapped around tonight 2 times. We'll give you an opportunity to speak. Go ahead.
I appreciate modern technology just as much as the next person. But we all just received our assessments and booted up the way they are before we discuss going into this intrusive way of determining what the assessor is going to be able to come up with for future charges or future assessments. You know, I think we should just put it on hold for now and just, you know, chill, because we've got some.
No,
we gotta set our new mill rate. We gotta figure out where we're headed with that first before we go ahead and say, hey, you know, we just increased your assessment and we're coming after you again. You know, okay, there's no point in saying, yeah, okay, we're not gonna be penalizing, and we're not gonna be fining, and we're not doing this to hurt anybody. Listen, you know, let's take instead of rushing through this,
Joe, you don't
step at a time.
You don't want taxpayers to pay for somebody whose improvements were not recorded properly, right? You wouldn't want to be shouldering the burden of someone who improved their house, but we couldn't get an accurate picture on what those improvements are. That wouldn't be fair. That wouldn't be fair to the taxpayers. So we're trying to get a more efficient way of determining, you know, how we get our tax rate down. And this is not as invasive as someone knocking on your door and coming in to look at your improvements.
Well,
that's actually a very antiquated way of doing things. And you'll find that many other communities are doing the flyover. I mean, this is really old fashioned, an old fashioned way of knocking on people's doors, and very few houses are seen.
Sheila, I just want to add on to that, because Joe, and this is, I guess, where my level of comfort is okay. It gets there with this, is that if it's being used for purposes of ensuring that people that have had work done are paying their fair share for those improvements and not burdening other taxpayers. So that's from my perspective, and what we're ensuring, and that's the reason I was bringing up some of the other issues last meeting, and just talking with John about making sure our blight and our ordinances are up to date, is ensuring that it's not going to be used for other purposes like you're talking about, from my perspective, to go and seek, making people go for back permits and trying to enforce other things like that. This is simply for the purposes, it's a less intrusive way of assessing value
Yeah.
of properties, and if there has been improvements, making sure people are paying their fair share.
Well, I've been watching the land use reports. And we have a terrific building group that are working towards doing their jobs and doing their jobs right. And every month I see we have large amounts of money that we collect because we've
Sure.
got people out there doing their job and they're bringing it in. There's, as far as policing and accountability of that, I think neighbor to neighbor, somebody doesn't like what somebody's building and they're not paying their taxes on it. I'm sure, everybody wants to know what their neighbor's house is worth.
Yeah, but that's not an efficient, that's not a way to conduct business, Joe.
But this is
I mean,
furthermore, this is making sure that land use can't use this. I mean, I think that's the main point here, is that land use won't be using this for blight or for enforcement of permits or any sort of zoning enforcement. This would simply be restricted to the assessor's office and not having staff have to go out and knock on doors to assess the value of properties. And quite frankly, I mean, from my perspective, where my comfort comes in is that there is there is process that's available to the taxpayer if they feel they've been overassessed or they have the ability to file a tax appeal and present evidence that their assessment is too high. So there is a process, but this would not be used for that enforcement purpose. I share that same concern, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Josh, I just wanted to say I'm very, very much in favor of this. As has been pointed out, it is a fairness issue. It is a safety issue for which the city bears liability. But it's also an efficiency issue. It enables us to maintain a relatively small building department, and it makes the cost and process of reevaluation much more efficient. And I would just echo Sheila's comments regarding this being widely used. This has been used by other municipalities for years, and it's a positive step for us to adopt an efficient, state-of-the-art way of conducting these evaluations. Having said that, I'm also very, I would also support the amendment that would enable anyone who has had projects that were not approved being grandfathered and not having this information shared with building enforcement.
John, are you available for a question? My question was, will we receive a document to with all this wordsmithed out?
I will share with you the language. I'll give you a copy of that contract and the stipulated language, and I'll cover it from all sides to ensure that you're entirely satisfied.
So is this going to go to the Joe and them charter?
What?
It'll go into the Eagle View agreement itself, and I'm also going to turn it into a personnel stipulation for both the assessor's department and the building department. So it's not just going to be an agreement with Eagle View. More importantly, even, it's going to be an agreement of basically a rule and policy of the city that's going to stand in both building and assessor's office. And you'll get a copy of everything.
Yeah, and we'll work towards, and in Chicago, from the ordinance perspective, I'll work with John about putting people.
Ordinance, that's what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
I'll work with John about putting something together for January where we can get the stakeholders at a meeting and talk about it and ensure that this is that we don't need to update anything ordinance wise.
Okay.
All right, gents and ladies, what are we gonna do here?
Is there a motion to approve this contract?
No, I think it has to go through a couple of things. So, are we just gonna, are we going to, table this until it, goes, through ordinance and we get the language on this?
Good idea.
I'd recommend that we go forward. I mean, the language is pretty clear what needs to be done. And I can cover it again from all sides legally, and then even follow up with additional language if somehow, some way you were not satisfied. And remember, the flyover is not going to occur between now and the next time we meet. So, but I do believe we want to start getting this into on track, so that information is there to provide for fair assessments in their next flyover.
So, when is their next flyover?
The assessor has obviously a better ability to answer that, but we certainly have time to implement that that language, that stopgap language that would prevent the information from being misused. There isn't a time crunch, but I do want to have the ability of the assessor to go forward and to, move forward with that contract.
He's not here, is he?
I don't think he is.
And what was the cost in this?
Let me see if I can get Kurt to answer that.
And is it budgeted if you're gonna ask him a question?
So you need a motion to move forward on this contract
Kurt does have it budgeted.
pending language?
So I think what we want to do is approve the agreement with the stipulation that the information collected will be used solely for tax assessment purposes. And John will wordsmith all that, correct?
Wow,
Yes.
yeah, so that would be pending language, right?
Yeah.
Well, contingent. It's approved contingent on
Okay, I
a
contingent.
stipulation that the
Right.
information not be used for enforcement purposes. And that would be both a stipulation to the agreement with Eagleview and also a directive to our city departments. And I think that is crystal clear that if we're going to go forward with this, that be stipulated to both our departments in Eagleview.
Okay. All right, Joe, you got that?
Yeah, I'll make that motion with the language that John just utilized, that he will square up the language in the contract itself, ensure that there's a rule to city staff, but also with the further caveat that an ordinance review will take place to ensure that none of the ordinances need to be modified to ensure that any assessment flyover will not be used for assessment purposes by any other department within the city.
I'll second the motion.
Okay.
Can I
Under
just
discussion.
add something?
Second by Adamowski. Discussion, Mamone.
I'm
Yeah.
still waiting for the cost.
Right, I want to know how much it's going to cost.
How about the-
Again, Kurt has this budgeted. I'm trying to get a response from him.
Yeah, this was presented a couple months ago with the cost.
Yeah.
It was.
By Graybosch.
Yep.
Yeah, it was. I remember.
It was in November.
Well,
I
where's
just-
that money going to come from? I mean,
I believe it was budgeted, Joe, if I'm not mistaken. That was the answer that I thought.
Kurt has it entirely budgeted. This is deemed to be an appropriate expense of the department to increase.
Because you recoup the money.
well, it's just going to be a self-sufficient program, or are we going to really realize anything out of it?
Yeah, you're eliminating employees was the original discussion.
My understanding is that this was a lower cost alternative.
Right.
Annual current form of assessment. And
That
that
is
was
correct.
budgeted, and I'm sorry, I can't recall the
That is correct, though. Yeah, I
number
recall.
that was given, but it was a number contained in the approved budget.
Yeah, and it was lower than what we.
Hiring
Right.
somebody. Yep.
Exactly.
They said they had to hire 2 people if they were.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Not for nothing in the future, like it's good to have folks here that could talk to this, John. I know you're pretty acclimated with it, but you know, when it comes up for vote, it's beneficial to have Kurt, Graybosch, you know, any of those guys on that are, you know, a little bit more, you know, have that knowledge.
Hey.
It's helpful to have them on.
Kurt was scheduled to be on the call. He got called away.
Yep, I'm aware.
And
So
Dave
how do
was
we-
on last time we discussed it in length.
Right, but we weren't voting on it last time. We're voting on it now.
Well, we were going to vote on it last time.
We're voting on it now.
Gotcha.
Is that information in the record from the last time? This is entered. Do we have,
Yeah.
can we pull the minutes from last time?
I'm pretty sure it's in the September packet. I'm just looking through it right now. Because I know he came with all the information.
Yeah, I know he did.
I don't see it on the September agenda though, Josh. I was just looking myself.
Kurt's looking.
I'm looking in October.
I'll search my minutes for the word Graybosch.
Yeah. You know, I'm just thinking on the line that, you know, there's a lot of people that are hurting right now, and they're just folks, and they own their property, just barely hanging on by the,
So,
I mean, you know, it's okay. it's
are
okay
you
to go
talking, do
after
you want to
anybody.
be
But-
equitable to the taxpayers? Then this is the way to do it.
Fortunately, not going forward with this is a penalty on the poor sap who reported their deck being enlarged, because that sap gets to pay more while the person that didn't gets away with it. So, you know, this is to make sure it's fair. This is to make sure it's even Stevens, and you don't have somebody paying more just because they were honest. The honest person shouldn't be the one supporting everybody else. Everybody should pay
Purple-
their fair share.
I don't
Kurt
know if
believes
you've seen
it's
the-
24,000.
Yeah, it's I found the document. It's in the September packet.
24.
Advantages of Eagle View, and it looks like 26 projects over 6 years, and each flight is $25,273.92. And it's all broken down in there's a multiple page budget, and then there's the documentation about the cost per permit. The city paid $34 per stop in 2020. And with the Eagle View flyover, every parcel gets viewed and updated every year for an average cost of $4.43 per parcel.
Yeah,
So it's important to realize that this is a department expense, okay? This is something that a department has the ability to use their budget for. The reason the Board of Aldermen needs to act is because it is a contract that goes beyond the fiscal year. It goes year to year. So in those cases, the Board of Aldermen has to approve a contract. A department head cannot unilaterally bind his department to an expense that occurs year over year, year over year over year, without approval of the Board of Aldermen. If you wanted to get one flyover, that would be okay. You could use the funds in your budget to do it. You don't need approval for that. But if you want a contract that spans multiple years, he's got to go to the Board of Aldermen. So this isn't a matter of him going outside of the lines of the budget. It's simply a matter of making a commitment that the city has to be okay with.
Is that for 6 times within the next 6 years?
Once a year.
For 25,000 a year?
Yeah, one flyover a year, Joe.
For the 25,000 a year?
For
Yes.
6 years.
Yep.
I don't know how many flyovers they conduct in a year, but it's 6 years for 25,000.
There's
per
no
year.
increase every year for the
Right.
6 years.
Right,
Right.
Bobby.
Yeah, it's a set price that they calculated over the 6 then.
right.
It's already
says-
budgeted.
Yeah,
And he
it's the
said-
budget proposal is in there.
All right.
It
Not that,
gets us through 2 revals too, as well.
Right.
Right.
Yes,
I
Assessor,
don't mean to beat a dead horse here, but I think we're ready to move on.
All right, so how do we want to proceed? Where
We
where
have
are
a
we at?
motion and a second.
Motion in a second, with all the stipulations, in there.
You got
Um,
everything, right, Trish?
Well, can you hear me?
Yeah,
I have moved to approve the agreement contingent upon the stipulation that the information collected will not be used for enforcement purposes by any other department in the city.
Yep, and in addition to that is that John will also ensure that the contract indicates the same and that an assessment will be done by ordinance to ensure that no ordinances need to be updated to reflect that the assessment flyovers cannot be used for enforcement purposes.
that's perfect.
And if used by other departments,
What can't be used by other departments.
well, that's what John said. If used by other departments, departments, there
Oh.
there are
Yeah, John indicated there'll be a rule
Right.
amongst staff, yes.
there's consequences to whoever do that out of any other department.
All right, so we have a motion and a second, very long, detailed, and Trish, you have all that now?
I will when I replay the recording.
Well played, well played. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed?
I,
Any abstentions?
I'll abstain.
One abstention, Mamone. All right, so motion carries. All right, that is, any other old business that's not on the agenda? All right, so that's.
Motion to move to executive session.
all right,
second.
motion to
Were you
move-
gonna add another thing to,
Yeah, you gotta add something, man.
you were gonna
Yeah.
add something to new business?
That was,
Oh, it was just the document that accompanied that surveillance thing.
yeah, that's all it was.
It was just
Okay.
adding that, instead of putting it as a communication, we put it in under the new business.
Okay.
Oh,
All right, so we have a motion and a second to go to executive sessions, cast of usual characters, aldermen, city staff. We have two items listed on there to discuss. The Olson Drive and number two, the one I added at the beginning of the meeting, 2 Elm Street. John, do you have the ability to create the room?
Wait till we back in the room.
oh, right, sorry.
Good, now you can proceed with the motion.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
Bobby.
Bobby.
Bobby,
Motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
Motion by Tar, second by Rivers, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so, in.
Is Trish there? Hold on, before we
Yes.
proceed, is Trish there?
Yep,
Yes.
she's here.
I'm here.
Executive session, we had two items. In the item number one, consideration of suit for vexatious litigation, R.E. Olson Drive lawsuit. What's your pleasure?
Motion to proceed as directed.
Second.
Motion to proceed is directed by Yaman, second by Mamone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries unanimously. And item number two from executive session, 2 Elm Street. What's your pleasure?
Motion to instruct staff to put the property out to bid.
Second.
Motion by Yaman, second by Mamone. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion carries unanimously. Motion to adjourn by Rivers, and who's the seconder? Frank?
Second.
What the hell? Y'all don't want to get out of here?
Yaman. Oh, you have a second by
Frank.
Frank.
There you
Frank,
go, Frank.
second.
Oh, Frank, okay.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you all.
Good night.
Okay.